Have you noticed it's getting harder to climb stairs, lift your legs, or stand up from a chair? Even though you're eating right, staying active, and doing everything your doctor says? It's frustrating. It's scary. And you might be wondering, is this just aging? Or is something else quietly draining your strength? Here's the truth. Most seniors are making a daily mistake without even realizing it. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because they've been following outdated advice for years. The very foods you've trusted, comfort foods, healthy foods, might now be breaking down your muscles from the inside out. Your body has changed, and what used to work might now be working against you. In this video, we're exposing the 7 worst foods that could be sabotaging your strength, balance, and independence. If you want to stay strong, active, and in control, this is the one video you can't afford to miss. So before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. We're here to help you stay healthy, informed, and empowered every step of the way. 1. Processed meat, a false friend on the dinner plate. Think back for a moment. Those weekend breakfasts with sizzling bacon, summer afternoons around the grill with sausages and hot dogs, or the quick dinners made with slices of deli meat tucked into warm buns. These aren't just meals, they're memories, comfort, tradition. For many of us, processed meats have been a part of life for decades. They're familiar, tasty, and easy. But here's the hard truth. The foods we've grown up loving may now be quietly working against us. As a physician working with older adults, I've seen how these foods, so normalized, so deeply woven into our routines, begin to take a real toll. Our bodies change with age, digestion slows, recovery takes longer, and the same processed meats that once seemed harmless can now trigger chronic, low-grade inflammation that wears down muscle tissue, weakens your legs, and accelerates sarcopenia, the natural muscle loss that comes with aging. The danger isn't just in the fat content, it's the additives, sodium nitrite, nitrate, and excess salt. Ingredients designed to preserve flavor and color, but they also promote oxidative stress and inflammation at the cellular level. For someone in their 60s, 70s, or beyond, that inflammation doesn't just go away. It lingers in the joints, settles in the muscles, and reduces your body's ability to recover and rebuild. Over time, that means more weakness, more fatigue, and a greater risk of falls or loss of independence. I've had patients tell me, "But I buy the low-fat turkey slices, that's healthy, right?" Unfortunately, even many lean deli meats are loaded with sodium and preservatives. The label may say natural, but the impact on the body can be anything but. In contrast, when we switch those patients to whole, unprocessed proteins, like grilled chicken breast, baked salmon, or even eggs, we often see improvements in energy, muscle tone, and inflammation markers within weeks. Your body responds differently to real food. Whole foods contain the nutrients your muscles need to function: potassium, magnesium, B vitamins, and clean protein, without the chemical burden. When you feed your body what it recognizes, it performs better. Healing improves, strength returns more easily, and the foundation of mobility, your legs, stays more stable. One of the biggest issues with processed meats is how routine they've become. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's easy to reach for what's convenient, but that convenience carries a price. And for aging adults, that price often shows up in subtle losses. It takes longer to get out of a chair. Stairs feel steeper, balance feels shakier. We chalk it up to aging, but in many cases, the fuel we're giving our bodies is making those challenges worse. You don't have to give up every food you love. Food is emotional. It connects us to family, to memories, to identity. But your body now needs a different kind of care, and that starts with your plate. Prioritize real, minimally processed proteins. Reduce reliance on deli meats and cured options. Cook a little more. Season simply. Choose foods that support, not sabotage your strength. Because the goal isn't just to eat better, it's to stay stronger, longer. And that starts with understanding which foods still serve you and which ones don't anymore. 2. Sugary drinks. Sipping away strength. Let me ask you something I often bring up with my older patients. What do you drink most days? Not just water. What do you reach for when you want a little comfort, a little sweetness? For many, it's a cold soda with lunch or a tall glass of sweet tea on the porch. These habits often feel small, harmless, even soothing, but I can tell you as a physician, those sugary sips may be quietly stealing your strength, one glass at a time. We've long known that sugar raises blood glucose levels, but its effects go much deeper, especially in the aging body. When you drink sugary beverages like sodas, sweet teas, energy drinks, or even fruit punches, your insulin levels surge. Over time, repeated spikes lead to insulin resistance, a condition where your body no longer responds to insulin effectively. And insulin isn't just about blood sugar. It's also essential for muscle health. It helps transport amino acids, protein building blocks, into your muscle tissue. When that process breaks down, your muscles starve, even if you're eating well. The result? Slower muscle repair, increased weakness, decreased energy. You may notice it as trouble climbing stairs, longer recovery after activity, or just general fatigue you can't shake. For older adults, this isn't just frustrating. It's a real threat to mobility and independence. Take one of my patients, Margaret, a 72-year-old grandmother from Indiana. Sweet tea was her afternoon ritual, every single day for over 20 years. When her blood work showed a rising A1C, and she began complaining of constant fatigue and aching legs, we took a closer look at her habits. She agreed to cut out sugary drinks for 1 month. We replaced them with unsweetened options: lemon water, cinnamon tea, and sparkling water with fresh fruit. 4 weeks later, she came in smiling. She was sleeping better. Her legs felt stronger. Even her physical therapist noted better endurance during sessions. And her blood sugar? Already improving. This isn't anecdotal, it's backed by science. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults with higher added sugar intake had significantly lower muscle mass and more physical limitations, even when their protein intake was similar to those consuming less sugar. Sugar was the difference, not calories, not protein. Sugar. And before you swap in a diet soda thinking it's a better option, here's what I tell my patients. Artificial sweeteners aren't the magic fix we once thought. While they don't spike blood sugar, studies suggest they may still interfere with insulin sensitivity, increase sugar cravings, and negatively affect gut health, all of which matter for metabolism and muscle function. But here's the good news. You don't need to give up flavor. I encourage my patients to experiment. Brew cinnamon or ginger tea. Add fresh lemon or orange slices to sparkling water. Try chilled mint or berry herbal infusions. These options hydrate, support your metabolism, and don't work against your muscles. You've worked hard to stay active and independent. Don't let your drinks quietly undo that effort. One small change, starting with what's in your glass, can help preserve the strength you count on every single day. We all deserve our little pleasures, but at this stage in life, it's worth asking, is that sweet sip really worth the slow toll it takes? Have you tried cutting back on sugary drinks? What changes did you notice? Share your experience in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're taking your health into your own hands. 3. White bread and refined carbohydrates. Here's something I often ask my older patients. When was the last time you really looked at the carbs on your plate? Not just the portion, but the type. For many of us, white bread, fluffy white rice, or boxed cereals have been part of life for decades. They're warm, familiar, and easy to prepare. But as your doctor, I want you to know, those refined carbs that once felt harmless may now be quietly draining your energy and weakening your muscle function, especially as you age. Refined carbohydrates such as white bread, white rice, and processed breakfast cereals are stripped of their natural fiber, vitamins, and minerals during processing. What you're left with is fast-acting starch that spikes blood sugar quickly, followed by a crash. These repeated glucose surges force your body to release high levels of insulin. Over time, that can lead to insulin resistance and chronic inflammation, two of the biggest contributors to fatigue, loss of muscle strength, and reduced mobility in older adults. I've seen it firsthand with many patients. One of them, Robert, a 70-year-old retired electrician from Pennsylvania, came to me complaining of low energy and muscle heaviness, especially in the afternoons. His typical day started with toast and jam, followed by a sandwich on white bread at lunch. It sounded simple and light, but it wasn't supporting his aging metabolism. Working with a nutritionist, Robert began replacing refined carbs with complex ones: steel-cut oats at breakfast, quinoa and lentils at lunch, and whole grain options in place of his usual rolls. Within a couple of months, he noticed a difference: better endurance during his morning walks and fewer midday crashes. His gait improved, his balance steadied, and most importantly, his energy felt more stable. Science backs this up. A study published in Nutrients found that older adults who consumed more whole grains and fewer refined carbs had stronger muscle performance, better energy metabolism, and lower markers of inflammation. The glycemic index, how quickly a food raises your blood sugar, is central to this. Foods like white bread and white rice cause sharp spikes that leave your system overworked and depleted. Complex carbs, on the other hand, provide slow, steady fuel that supports both your muscles and your brain throughout the day. Now here's a trap I see many people fall into: assuming whole wheat on the label means it's a healthy option. Unfortunately, many commercial breads labeled whole wheat are mostly made from enriched white flour, with a dash of whole wheat for appearance. When choosing bread or grains, look for 100% whole grain on the label, and make sure whole grain is the first ingredient, not sugar, not enriched flour. I know food is personal. These foods are tied to memories, family dinners, weekend breakfasts, comfort during tough times. But aging brings a new stage of life that calls for new priorities. Supporting your strength, energy, and independence begins with what's on your plate. Small, consistent shifts, like swapping refined carbs for true whole grains, can make a major impact over time. This isn't about restriction. It's about rebuilding. It's about giving your body the kind of fuel it now needs to move, heal, and stay strong for years to come. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. 4. Fried foods. Crispy outside, crisis inside. Here's a fact that might surprise you. Studies show that older adults who regularly consume fried foods have significantly higher levels of inflammatory markers in their blood, especially C-reactive protein, CRP, a key indicator of chronic inflammation. As a physician, I can tell you this kind of inflammation doesn't just increase your risk of heart disease. It also plays a major role in muscle loss, weakness, and fatigue, especially as you age. What's the harm in a little crunch? A basket of fried shrimp at your favorite seafood shack, golden fries with your burger, or that Sunday fried chicken your family always made. It's hard to let go of foods that feel like home. But as we get older, our bodies don't recover from these indulgences the way they once did. That crispy comfort on your plate might be doing more than just satisfying a craving. It could be slowly breaking down your strength. Fried foods, especially when cooked in reused oils or high-temperature commercial fryers, contain trans fats and oxidized lipids. These compounds interfere with your body's ability to recover and repair. They increase systemic inflammation, which not only strains your joints and blood vessels, but also your muscles, which are already more vulnerable to decline with age. Chronic exposure to these fats can impair mitochondrial function, the very engine of your muscle cells, making it harder for your body to maintain strength, endurance, and balance. Let's break it down. Imagine how your body responds after eating a plate of fried chicken versus a piece of grilled salmon. One provides anti-inflammatory omega-3s, high-quality protein, and nutrients that support tissue repair. The other delivers inflammatory fats, excess sodium, and potentially harmful chemical residues from overused oils. Over time, those differences don't just affect your cholesterol, they affect your stamina, mobility, and recovery after activity. It's easy to think that indulging in fried food once or twice a week is harmless. But when I work with patients and we add it up, that once or twice becomes over 100 meals a year. That's a chronic exposure to inflammatory triggers. And even when people maintain a generally balanced diet, that steady drip of fried food can cause a slow erosion of strength and energy that often goes unnoticed until symptoms become hard to ignore. Dr. Lena Harris, a respected geriatric nutrition specialist I often reference, puts it simply. It's not the one donut or fish basket that gets you. It's the pattern. The inflammation builds quietly until one day you notice your muscles don't recover, your legs feel heavier, your walks feel shorter. Now, the good news, you don't have to abandon the flavors you love. You just have to rethink how you prepare them. Air frying is one of the most effective ways to recreate the crisp and crunch of fried food without the damage. Whether it's chicken, sweet potatoes, or zucchini slices, A light coat of olive oil and seasoning is all it takes to deliver satisfaction without sabotage. Baked fish with a flavorful spice rub? Same satisfaction, but with nourishment instead of inflammation. So, think about the foods that show up on your plate week after week. Are they helping you stay strong, or slowly stealing your strength in ways you can't feel yet? Have you tried swapping out fried favorites for lighter, cleaner versions? Drop your go-to alternatives or air fryer creations in the comments. I'd love to see what's working for you. Let's talk about the next. 5. Alcohol, the silent saboteur of muscle repair. More than half of adults over 65 enjoy an occasional drink. And for many, a nightly glass of wine feels like a well-earned ritual. A small joy at the end of the day. It's seen as harmless, even healthy. But what if that quiet habit, comforting as it may be, is actually interfering with your body's ability to stay strong and recover as you age? As a physician, I see this more often than people realize. Alcohol doesn't just affect your liver or memory. It impacts your muscle health in ways most never hear about. It disrupts the balance of key hormones, especially testosterone and human growth hormone, both essential for muscle repair and regeneration. Even moderate drinking can suppress these hormones, slowing your body's ability to recover after physical activity. And that's not the only concern. Alcohol also interferes with deep sleep, the phase of rest when your body produces the most growth hormone. If you're not getting that restorative sleep, night after night, your muscles don't heal properly. You may stay sore longer. You might feel weaker during workouts. And over time, your body simply can't rebuild what it's losing. Let me share the story of one of my patients, James, a 68-year-old retiree from Oregon. He had been faithfully doing light strength training and water aerobics. His diet was solid and his routine consistent, but he wasn't seeing progress. Worse, he felt sore for days after sessions. After reviewing his lifestyle, we focused on a habit he hadn't considered: his evening wine. 2 glasses, nearly every night. He decided to cut back and swapped it for a ginger lemon mocktail. Within 3 weeks, he noticed deeper sleep, faster recovery, and even better tone in his legs and arms. His body wasn't just moving better. It was finally responding to the effort he was putting in. The reality is, your tolerance for alcohol changes with age. Your liver metabolizes it more slowly, your hormones become more sensitive to disruption, and your sleep becomes more fragile. A couple of drinks a week might have been fine in your 40s, but now, that same amount can quietly sabotage your efforts to stay strong and independent. The good news? You don't have to give up the pleasure of an evening ritual. Just reframe it. A homemade mocktail, fresh ginger, lemon juice, mint, maybe some cucumber, can feel just as special. These ingredients not only hydrate and support digestion, but they also help fight inflammation and give your body a break from alcohol's hidden toll. And speaking of hidden tolls, there's one more common comfort food that many older adults rely on. One that seems harmless, but may be slowly wearing down your bones and weakening your legs from the inside out. Let's talk about it next. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. 6. Canned soups and ready-to-eat meals, salt bombs in disguise. Nearly 70% of the average American's sodium intake comes not from the salt shaker, but from processed and packaged foods. Ready meals, canned soups, frozen dinners. It's easy to see why. When you're tired, achy, or simply not up for cooking, reaching for a microwavable tray or a can of soup can feel like a small act of self-care. But as a physician, I can tell you, for older adults, that convenience often comes with a hidden cost: weakened muscles, reduced energy, and a slow erosion of strength. Most ready-to-eat meals are designed for shelf life, not longevity. They're loaded with sodium, preservatives, and chemical stabilizers, and sorely lacking in the nutrients your body truly needs as it ages. High sodium intake doesn't just raise your blood pressure. It causes water retention, strains your kidneys, and contributes to the loss of essential minerals like potassium, magnesium, and calcium, all vital for healthy muscle function, nerve signaling, and bone support. Over time, this imbalance doesn't just make you feel bloated or tired. It directly increases your risk of frailty, falls, and delayed muscle recovery. Let me share the story of Ellen, a 74-year-old widow from Ohio and one of my longtime patients. After a minor surgery, she stopped cooking and leaned heavily on canned chili and frozen dinners, easy options that made life feel manageable. But after several months, she noticed her ankles were swelling, her energy dipped, and she was getting up at night to use the bathroom more often. When we examined her food intake, we discovered she was consuming over 3,000 milligrams of sodium a day, far more than the recommended limit for older adults. We worked together to create a simple meal prep plan. Roasted vegetables, boiled chicken, cooked grains, all stored in reusable containers. Within weeks, Ellen's swelling reduced, her sleep improved, and she felt physically lighter and more mobile. Research supports this change. A study in the Journal of Gerontology found that older adults who consistently consumed high-sodium, low-potassium diets experienced more rapid declines in muscle strength and functional mobility over a 5-year period. Even so-called low-sodium options can be misleading. Many include potassium chloride as a substitute, which may upset digestion or interact with common medications like diuretics or blood pressure drugs. And the ingredient lists are often packed with ultra-processed fillers that offer calories but little nourishment. Here's what I tell patients: eating well doesn't have to be complicated. Prep once or twice a week. Keep it simple. Boil some eggs, roast a tray of sweet potatoes, bake a few servings of lean protein. These meals can be just as convenient as opening a can, but without the inflammatory load. As we age, our food choices matter more. Not just for how we feel today, but for how we move, function, and recover tomorrow. Convenience shouldn't cost you your strength. A little preparation now can protect your independence in the long run. And speaking of long-term protection, there's one more habit that hides in plain sight. Easy to overlook, yet deeply tied to balance, circulation, and your body's ability to hold itself upright. Let's look at that next. 7. Pastries and baked goods. Sweetness with a price. When does a sweet moment turn into a slow setback? Maybe it's that soft muffin with your morning coffee or the homemade cookies you've been baking for years. These aren't just treats, they're traditions, part of your rhythm, your memories. But as your body changes, those same small indulgences can quietly begin to work against your strength and energy in ways you don't immediately feel, but absolutely need to know about. As a physician, I see this pattern often in older adults. Most pastries and baked goods are made from 2 key ingredients that your aging body struggles to manage: refined flour and sugar. It's a combination that causes sharp spikes in blood sugar followed by rapid crashes. Over time, repeated exposure to these spikes leads to insulin resistance, a condition where your cells stop responding to insulin efficiently. That has real consequences for muscle health. Insulin doesn't just regulate blood sugar. It also helps transport amino acids into muscle cells to aid in repair and recovery. If insulin isn't working well, your muscles won't get what they need to stay strong, even if you're eating plenty of protein. This isn't just about weight or blood sugar control. It's about how your body recovers after activity, how quickly it fatigues, and how stable your balance and coordination remain. The early signs are subtle. You might feel more tired after breakfast. You might crash mid-morning, even if you've eaten. Or you might notice that familiar low-energy lull creeping in by early afternoon. This blood sugar roller coaster can gradually erode stamina, especially in your legs, where strength and stability matter most. Take Susan, a 69-year-old retired teacher from Michigan. Baking was a big part of her identity, something she did with her grandkids every weekend. She wasn't eating large quantities, just a few cookies or muffins here and there. But she began to notice she felt sluggish after breakfast and had less pep during her daily walk. I recommended a simple change. Take a 2-week break from sugary baked goods and try alternatives with slow-digesting carbs and healthy fats. She swapped her morning muffin for oat bites made from mashed banana, cinnamon, and almond butter. Within days, her energy began to level out. By the 2nd week, her alertness returned, and she could finish her walks without dragging. The fix isn't about giving up sweetness altogether. It's about redefining what sweetness looks like in this stage of life. Using ingredients like oats, bananas, applesauce, cinnamon, and nuts gives you flavor and support. These foods provide fiber, stable energy, and nutrients your muscles and metabolism can actually use. So before you reach for that scone or slice of banana bread, ask yourself, is this food fueling you or draining you? That one small shift could help you preserve strength, protect your energy, and feel more like yourself again. Have you made a change in your baking habits that's helped you feel better? Share your go-to swaps below. Your tip could be the one that helps someone else stay strong too. You've made it to the end, and that says something powerful about you. You care. You're paying attention. And more than anything, you're ready to fight for your strength, your freedom, and your future. Aging isn't about decline. It's about taking control of your story, your way, on your terms. The truth is, some of the foods we've trusted for decades may no longer be serving us. They may be slowing us down, stealing energy, weakening our muscles, and quietly making everyday movement harder. But now, you know better. And with that knowledge comes power. Every meal is a chance to honor your body. Every bite is a choice to feel stronger, move easier, and live more fully. It's not about giving up your past. It's about choosing a future where you can walk with confidence, lift what you need, rise from a chair without hesitation, and do the things you love without second-guessing your body. That's what this journey is about. Reclaiming strength, rebuilding from the inside out, and doing it not with shame, but with pride. So if something in this video sparked a change in you, even just a small shift, hold on to that. Act on it. Start today, because it's never too late. Your body is still listening, your muscles are still waiting, and you are still capable of more than you think. If this message hit home, let us know in the comments by typing 1. If you feel we missed the mark, type 0. We're always here to learn and grow with you. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss another tip made just for your health, your strength, and your future. Thank you for being here. You're not just getting older, you're getting wiser, braver, and stronger. Let's keep moving forward together.